Lit chat.
Lit chat. This is actually our second take because apparently I had lipstick on my teeth for my first take and my daughter said we need to start over. We also had a not great card on our first take, so we're going to start with a better card this time. Give us a better card.
Blah, blah, blah.
What is it?
The namesake.
Oh, that's a good book. I've read that book.
Do you pay attention to who the publisher is? Do you have a favorite publisher?
That is interesting. I generally don't pay that much attention to the publisher. I am right now because there is a certain publisher who is dealing with some labor issues, and there was a strike because the workers are asking for better pay, and I support that. So I have been checking to see if the books that I am reading are by that publisher. And then if it is, I'm putting it off because I'm not going to be talking about it. As for favorite publishers, the two I can think of are imprints. So I'm not sure what publishing house they come from, but I don't think they're coming from this one I just talked about. And that would be Atria and Minotaur. Minotaur publishes a lot of mysteries, and they publish Louise Penny. And Atria publishes two others of my favorite authors, which is William Kent Kruger and Jennifer Weiner, which are, you can't get two more different authors than those two, but they're both from those publishers. But I don't put that much with the publisher. You know, a lot of the publishers, they kind of have their niches. I know like Tor Books is coming out with some great stuff now, so sometimes I'll pay attention to what they have, but generally the publisher is not something that I pay attention to when I'm trying to decide what to read. What's the next question?
If you had pigeon books instead of penguin books, would the company have been as successful?
Yeah. Probably would make more sense because people are more familiar with pigeons than they are with penguins. I mean, people like penguins better than pigeons, but everyone sees pigeons daily, and you don't usually see a penguin unless you live like way down near Antarctica. What's the rest of that question?
If you live in southern Africa.
Yes, down towards Antarctica. Yes, they would see pigeons.
With penguins.
Penguins, yes. You'd see pigeons everywhere else.
What would you name your publishing house?
I would name my publishing house Otter's Den because our last name is Ott. We always call our home the Otter's Den. So that's what I would name mine.
Really? We do?
Yeah, we do.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, well, you don't pay attention. Okay, we're going to do another one. We might do two more. We'll see. We'll see what this one's like. Hopefully it's not another dud. Twice Told Tales by Lily's current favorite author, Edgar Allan Poe.
Do you ever reread?
Is it, or is it by Rudyard Kipling? I don't know. I probably just made a big boo-boo and said the wrong author. It's Twice Told Tales. Okay, go ahead.
Do you ever reread books?
Yes, I do, but it depends why I'm rereading them. Frequently, I will have a book club discussion for a book I've already read. In that case, what I will normally do is get the audiobook and listen to the audiobook for the second time. If it's like an old favorite, frequently what I will do is, like I am doing right now, I have one of my favorite novels is Jane Eyre. I have an audiobook version of Jane Eyre that I just listen to like 30 minutes or a chapter 2 as I'm going to sleep. So I already know what the story is. But as I fall asleep, it's nice to kind of listen to that. I'm also starting because I need to be back in Three Pines. Once a day, I'm going to read a Louise Penny chapter. And I figure that I have more than enough right now to keep me through to next year when her next book comes out. Generally, though, I don't reread a lot of books unless there is a reason to do it. Or it's been a really, really long time since I've read it. There's just too many new books out there. What's the next one?
Are there any specific titles for you return to regularly? What makes you go back to them?
Yes, there's one I can think of. Back when I talked about listening to an audiobook to go to bed, there's a very wonderful audiobook production of Travels with Charlie by John Steinbeck. Gary Sinise is the audio narrator, and that's one I will frequently go back to. I really like that one. That's the only John Steinbeck I've read, although I hope to remedy that. But I love that book. It's just a road trip he took with his dog. I mean, And it's interesting, he goes around America and he talks to different people, and this was in the 50s, and you realize not much has changed, unfortunately. But that's a fun one to listen to as I go to bed. And then, as I said, Louise Penny. I'll be just always having a Louise Penny going. Should we do another one? Let's do one more, okay?
Okay.
Hey. I'm going to shuffle the cards up. Shuffle the cards. Okay. What is it? The God of Small Things. It's been a while since I've read that one.
How do you treat your books? Do you make notes of them? Dog ear pages, or do you keep every page absolutely pristine?
I am not really that precious about my books. I use a bookmark. I don't dog ear usually. If you've watched my videos, you know that I've been reading these Agatha Christie collections, like I did The Last Seance, and now I'm reading Midwinter Murder. And in there are some short stories that I recently read, so I'm not reading them in this room, and I'll dog ear those pages, but I don't feel like it's an affront to my books. I am, however, careful with my books. I try not to get them wet or muddy or anything like that. I use bookmarks. I also use those little sticky tabs sometimes when I need to remember things. I don't make notes in my books, but I do sometimes make notes on my phone as I'm reading so that I can refer back to them. But I usually am careful with my books, but I am not, super anal about it. Okay, what's the next one?
If you do make notes in your books, have you ever gone back and looked at them?
Well, as I said, they aren't in my books. I do them in a note on my phone, and I have gone back, especially if it's a book club book. I will go back and sort of refresh my memory on some points that I wanted to remember, or if I'm doing a review on it, I'll go back and try to keep in mind everything that I was thinking about as I read it. So that was a good question. And God of Small Things, that's a good book. I read that for a book club a while ago. What are you reading now in school or at home? You're not reading at home, I know that. Well, you are listening to an audiobook. What audiobook are you listening to?
Wings of Fire.
Number, is it 15?
I don't know.
I think it's number 15. And what are you reading in school for your book club in school?
We haven't started it.
Oh, you haven't. I can't remember the title either, but it had to do with like weather, like a natural disaster or something. Which I think you'll like. You like things like that.
I Survived?
It's not an I Survived book. Although I have a funny story to tell about I Survived books. When my daughter was like in 3rd grade, she got into the I Survived books, and she came home and she was so excited. She's like, "Mommy, I read this I Survived book about something that happened a long, 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 long time ago." And I said, "Oh, really? What was it?" I thought it was like the Revolutionary War or something like that. No, she's like, Hurricane Katrina. I feel so old. But yes, no, it's not an I Survived book, but it's something you are going to start your book club at school. So in his class, they do book clubs. And you'll be starting that probably next week, I think. So, yeah. So that's our Lit Chat for this week. We will see y'all next week. Bye.
Bye.